All right, excellent. Let's get started. Welcome to the July 13th meeting of the Main Street Board of Directors. Welcome, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. It is 8:03. Meredith has done roll call, so we're all set there. In front of you, you have an agenda, and if you'd like to add anything to the agenda, that would be at this time. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented. There's been a motion. Is there support? There's been a motion of support. We gotta get some coffee in here. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Does everybody have an agenda? No, they do. Okay. It was okay. Good. I'll give it just a minute here. All right, and you also had in your package, you had meeting minutes for 3 different meetings. Our DDA meeting of June 8th, then the annual meeting that we had right after that on June 8th, and then of course the special meeting on June 30th. There's been a motion to approve all 3. And there's support. Is there any further discussion? Thank you for all that work, Meredith. Appreciate it. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Excellent. The record reflect the minutes are a unanimous vote. Main Street Director Report. Jay, take it over.
Okay, so just a couple things real quick. Storytelling plot. So we are engaged with Pure Michigan through Main Street. They've offered an opportunity with the 28 cities. I think it's 28, 25 or 28. You look that number up. And they're going to take 5 cities in a pilot program to do a digital review of their engagement with Pure Michigan and provide them with some deliverables once it's all done. 4 meetings, we're going to engage with Visit Lenawee. They're going to provide so they're going to be at the meetings as well. And then there'll be a couple of people that I'll reach out to participate in that if we're selected. 5 cities out of 28 are selected. So I think we have a pretty good chance. DARA officially extended on the weekends on Fridays to 11 p.m., both Friday and Saturday. So if you see people out after 10 with a beverage in their hand on Friday or Saturday, it's okay. We're working on signage for that. I will arm wrestle with Greg to see who's actually paying for that. The last thing is Maestro, our software program. The data has been uploaded to it, and now I am updating all of that data. So it's a monumental task because there was some outdated information there, but we will, every day I'm taking a chunk of it and working on it. So hopefully soon, if you fill out those contact information sheets I sent all of you, that will allow me to get you into the system and provide you with access. So I sent that with the packet. So if you could fill that out and get it back to me, that would be great. That way you guys can get in there and take a look as well. All right, that's it.
All right, so I distributed a revenue and expenditure report. That's the not fun one, but I got the other packet here, which is this one with the big print on it. This has all the cool information about our fiscal year 21-22, right, which ended on June 30. So we actually ran a surplus for the entire year, $73,675, which is fantastic, right? We're in good financial health. Of course, something to keep in mind is that we just hired a director, which costs approximately $73,675. No. So, but my point is that we will be able to support this position while breaking even in the next fiscal year, assuming no additional revenues, which hopefully we will have some now that we have a full-time person. So we have an excellent starting point and we're financially healthy. Let's see, we do have $290,000 in the bank, so we have some cushion. Or we have potential for some sort of project if we so deem it. And I do need to look into refuse collection because somehow it chewed $5,000 out of our budget this year. So maybe me and Jay can look into figuring out why that happened. So Other than that, I put a couple of the upcoming expenses on here that, we all knew about and knew they were coming. So those will be coming out of our cash and bank balances. And other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape. The second thing with the colorful charts, which is always fun to look at, is just a revenue and expense chart, just so that you can kind of see where we're spending. We did have a couple of kind of like just bucket expense accounts. One was event expense and one was projects. And we kind of just chucked everything into those two buckets. This coming budget year, there's a fair number of additional breakouts into our budget. So next year, we're going to be able to see, how much we spend on First Fridays, how much we spend on Art Wishes, so on and so forth. But so if anybody has any questions, I can answer those. Otherwise, that's the report.
I just wondered, and I asked Jay this, two things one thing that increases our revenue is when an investment takes place in downtown. And so we've captured revenues from various establishments that have increased their value. And we never really look at it in detail as to what that means or how it actually happens. How does it actually affect our net revenues when something comes online, like when the Cotton Brewery or whatever the case may be. So we capture those. So he's looking into that. I'd like us to all feel and see how that works, because that is the name of the game, right? So we want to make things and values improve. So that's just something I'm having him look into. Excellent.
Yeah, and we did see tax increases even in this last year. So that will continue on as we continue to see
Super
investment.
One thing on there, Brad, that you've got it highlighted, but I want to make a note of it just so understands. The sculptures were only charged $3,900 for this year.
There's going to be another.
There'll be another.
There's an outstanding invoice if I'm not mistaken.
There is. Yeah.
Okay.
There is.
Yeah, and I think it's like $5,000 if it.
We actually had to split it in two because they haven't collected enough for the donations yet. So that's $3,550 is going to be paid, and that's with our $1,100 and their $2,450 of donations.
Yep.
Still a maximum of 5,000.
Yeah, from us, that's it.
Yep.
So that will change.
Sure.
So how much more did they have to raise?
$3,650 they need to raise still.
$3,650. All right. Any questions for Brad? Any other questions for Brad? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report into the record. There's been a motion and there's support. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. All right, Greg, you got here just in time.
What's up? Good morning. I was here less than 12 hours ago. That's right. Yeah. A few things that might be of interest to you. Some of the staff met last week on this subject of street closure policy, which we're going to revise. We have sort of a perverse incentive right now to close streets as opposed to utilize other public spaces because of the absurdly low street closure fee. Right-of-way permit is $75 currently, and that's not a true cost. And by contrast, I think it's $300 to rent the pavilion over here in the farmers market, which is really where we would prefer most downtown events to occur. So, looking at what that true cost is of closing the streets and doing it the right way, having staff DPW there to put appropriate barricades in place that will make, if we're going to do that, make the streets safe for those using the street, have reserve officers there to police the event. And when you have reserve officers, though they're volunteers, you have to have a full-time officer, on-duty officer there to supervise them as well. So what's the cost of that? It's going to be many times $75, obviously. And what we hope that will do is encourage people to make the choice to use the other public spaces we have downtown, particularly the pavilion, for their events. And we hope to do some things and are doing some things to improve that as a public space. We do plan to proceed. I think I told you last time, if I didn't, we did not get the T-Mobile grant for the improvements that we wanted to do there, but we are going to proceed with the with that work. We're going to do the bathrooms right away. We're holding off a minute on the electrical to kind of give us a chance to envision that public space with the Croswell's project that's going in at the farm. You know, what does that want to be? Where do those, you know, where's the focus area of that space want to be? And so we didn't reach the finish line in terms of recommendation for street closure policy. That'll still be coming. Related to that is the idea of special events. Entities have wanted to be special events, and we get increasing demand for that. The reason for that is because only a special event can have food trucks. And, you know, it occurred to us that really the correct response to that is not to create more special events, but if there is such a demand, to recommend to the city commission that they allow food trucks at events where public streets are closed. And we're going to have a discussion of that at pre-meeting next week, next Monday night, assuming the mayor agrees with me that that belongs on the agenda. It's on the draft agenda. Other things that might be of interest, although I don't believe she's signed the budget yet. There's an appropriation in the proposed budget for our riverfront project of $3 million, which we're pretty excited about. Hope to be able to advance the public portion of that project with those funds, open up the river again, placemaking opportunities there. Likewise, we're going to have a discussion at the pre-meeting with Bob Doyle of Smith Group, who that group that's of investors that's working on that project had engaged to do some conceptual designs. We want to engage him at the city level to do work on the city's behalf, both in terms of concept planning, but also monitoring grant opportunities and then applying for those grants as they become available. So that, you know, that's very exciting. Unrelated to downtown, but of interest to the city, last night at Planning Commission, the Planning Commission recommended approval of a new PUD plan for the mall, which is quite exciting as well. Mix of uses, combination of demolition of some of the existing buildings, reuse of some of the existing buildings, new construction on the site, development of outlots. Planning Commission was very careful to make sure that there were not, as there have been in the past, an opportunity to sell off a bunch of outlots and not reinvest in the dilapidated portions of the property. So they gave them just enough to raise their capital for phase one improvements, but no more. And so that will also be going to the city commission in August for approval. And things should start happening, and already are start happening on the demolition front out there. You may not see it for a while, but work's being done inside to clean up some of those buildings. So there's a few things. Happy to answer any questions.
Congratulations on that riverfront development. That's great news for the city. It's not on the agenda, but just want to remind all of us that on August 27th, there's a community group, the City of Adrian, Rotary, Kiwanis, and River Asian Watershed are putting on a cleanup and informational project. It'll be at the Kiwanis Trailhead. And we'd certainly like to have everybody participate in that. We'll have more details for this group at the next meeting in August, but August 27th, 9 to 1. I really appreciate if we could get energized about that and become educated so that we can support this project and be sure that we're all on board with what's going on with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions regarding? Thank you.
Okay,
guys.
thanks.
So that 3 million is the first of three ask, or first of three ask. There's two more supplements coming. We expect to hope to anywhere between 10 and $15 million. So that'll really make things happen fairly quickly. So exciting stuff. All right. This is over to you for the parklet signage.
Yeah, so recommendation of the executive director downtown Adrian Main Street to purchase 2 signs, 1 for each parklet, and the amount not to exceed $200 from Insignia Sign Company. So there's an example in your packet of the signs to go on the parklet. This is one that I'd sent out for your review a while ago to get some feedback, and this was the popular one. It does reference our district app and a QR code to that. And any questions about it?
Support.
There's been a motion and support. Is there any further discussion?
Who made the motion?
Mark?
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Jay, thank you. All right, promotion committee, downtown events, July 1st Fridays, August Dog Days of Summer coming.
Michelle's not here, so I'll talk about First Fridays. Obviously, it rained in July, so it did put a damper on the event, but it did pick up after the rain. We had a surprising amount of people attending downtown. The market took off a little bit, and there were some vendors that stuck around, and some participation in some of the food trucks. Dog Days is August. I don't have all the details on that, but I know they're working. Michelle's working with the Wegley Group. They're looking to do the pause port like they did last year to promote people to visit local businesses. And they're working with the Humane Society with some contests. I know one of them is a pie eating contest this year in particular for the dogs. So yeah, they do like a whipped cream pie eating contest. So that'll be interesting to see. So that's all I have for that.
Any questions on those two? All right, Drake, you want to talk about the retail guide, or really these
Sure.
cards?
So we've been exploring a few different guide formats for downtown. A lot of other Main Street communities will do these retail and restaurant guides to help people from out of town and also in town just know what's in the area. And because our business landscape is changing so rapidly, we've been shifting away from putting everything in printed format to just putting a QR code on something like a rack card and then sending them to our website or some sort of an online directory of that nature. So that way we can update it in real time. It changes automatically. We don't have to worry about pulling old printed media and replacing it, all that fun stuff. So I've put together 3 rack cards, which should be passing down the table there. There's also examples up on the podium. So just a simple card, one for shopping, one for restaurants, and then one for entertainment. Right now, that QR code just goes to our business directory for downtown, but we're exploring different options to send that either to an app or we can get dynamic QR codes too that we can redirect after the fact. So lots of options there, but just wanted to get your input on these so far, see what you think.
Drake, so I think you answered this, but I want to be clear. That QR code is the same on all 3 cards.
Right now, yes. So
Okay.
this is just a working draft.
We also talked last month, I think, about adding information about free parking and the electric vehicle chargers. Is that on the app, or would it make sense to add that to the print card?
Well, that's something that would make sense where, for sake of keeping these as simple as possible, we can add a lot of information on the destination that we're sending them to. So that could be a pop-up banner, that could be a little sidebar thing or what have you, but we have a lot of flexibility doing it that way. So that way we're not baked into what we're putting on these cards in terms of information.
So there's some back work that needs to be done where they target these in 3 different areas of focus, and we move forward. Do you need a budget for this? The rec cards are free, right? Or
I don't have any printing quotes or anything like that at the time. And Michelle is also the one who normally spends the money for printing for downtown. Jay, do you know if there's anything that we have in that regard?
Nothing off the top of my head, but we can definitely get something around and bring it at the next meeting.
excellent.
And I believe we do have a budget line item for printing, and we do also have some surplus in the general promotion account as well.
That's the intent. Yes. Yes.
No, it seems like that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a great app. We need to get everybody involved. We need to go and get everybody in downtown because the business owners are the ones that build it, not us. So we got to get everybody involved and get their pictures up there, menus, whatever the case may be. So it'll be a big outreach and good luck, Jake. No, I'm just kidding. All right, any other questions on that? We'll be able to.
Just a
finalize it.
thought,
Sure.
you know, we do have a large elderly population in, you know, Adrian area as well. A lot of them don't always have smartphones. I can tell you right now, my entire family. So, and my father-in-law and everybody else. So, you know, I don't know. I saw this somewhere just recently. I don't know where I was, but they basically had a map on the side of a building, like really prominent, like not down near like the four corners of that town, but it was encased in like a plexiglass type thing. So they could change it out. Like you could tell it was like kind of like cricket, like vinyl or whatever, you know, like stickers or whatever, but they could change out if businesses left, but it would have the, like, it would actually say the business on like the little sticker thing with the map. Just for the old school people, we might want to think about that not everybody has that smartphone, and, you know, it's just a possibility, and just throwing it out there. I thought it was, I liked it because you could change it out easily. And I thought it was a really neat idea, because it was something that wasn't permanent and you're always having to get something reprinted.
Some people have smartphones that don't know how to use them, like me. Bay City has those posted signs, of 4 or 5 of them in the downtown area, and they're very convenient. You walk up, look, and okay, there, you know, and you don't have to find a QR code or any of that stuff. For those of us who are a little slow.
And some of us like to flex our inner 87-year-old anyway. I know Michelle was also looking at some digital signboards for downtown. I'm not sure exactly where that was at. The benefit of those is we could change them out instantaneously and also show essentially a slideshow of content and get more use out of the same installation. I can check in with her and see where she's at on that as well.
Look at both of those and see what the costs are and differentials and the like, because I'm going to guess the digitals are pretty expensive, but awesome. You know, the other one's practical.
So Drake, it probably also would be a good idea, even if we just added a URL underneath that code too. It would take no, you know, it's just downtownadrian.com/restaurants or /food or whatever, make it nice and short and sweet, /entertainment/shopping. And then it goes to the same place. So that way, because I can tell you right now, I know people that do not know how to use a QR, but can type in a URL.
Good point. And again, these are just a working draft and we can change absolutely anything we want.
Michael?
Although I was going to say, if we are eventually to get them to the district app, you know, even if they don't know how to use a QR code, just to mention how to download or to search for that and take a look at. I don't know if there's if we're in the soft opening stage of the app right now, because some businesses
We are.
already put. Yep. So directing people to download it now, that wouldn't be too problematic, would it?
No, not at all. Because even if they haven't claimed their business, it's still represented on the app.
Great.
And to Michael's point too, since these are rack cards, they can be double-sided. So we could have more detailed instructions on the backside, keep the front simple, and then have all the written instructions on how to download and use the app on the other side as well.
Any questions for Drake on that? Move forward ahead. Be awesome. New Year's Eve. What you know, Jay?
So we've engaged with several restaurants downtown to kind of test the waters. I should say several restaurants and other establishments to test the waters to see what New Year's Eve might look like if we were to host an event downtown. The thought is to, excuse me, the culmination would be the dropping of the maple leaf at midnight with a band outside, free event for people to attend, and then excuse me, and then have some packages. Ooh, excuse me. Have some packages that could include meals, some drink tickets potentially, and some VIPs. Think cabanas by the pool, except heated with tables and chairs. So you can have like a little VIP place to bring your friends and family in to sit and watch the ball drop or the maple leaf drop and watch the band and stuff like that. So we're researching, the willingness of the restaurants to participate, because that's a key component of it, to try to draw people down and see where we are. We've had good interest so far, so we just have a couple more to round that out, and then we're going to come up with some preliminary pricing to see what it looks like. There is some discussion to make it a fundraiser in the future. I think the first year or two, maybe it's a break-even event. The best fundraising in this type of event is pretty difficult, because you want to make it as inclusive as you can without really gouging people. If we make any money, it might be on the tents. But then even those are a little costly with the tent and the heater and tables and chairs. So that's kind of where we are. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer anything or any ideas. It was a component I forgot. We're also looking at doing something during the day for families. Very similar to like the Toledo Zoo does, where they do a drop during the day. We could do something during the day to include other businesses in downtown Adrian.
All right. There are no more questions than that. I'll move forward. Organizational committee. We did have a fundraising meeting. Dave's continuing to have struggles with, workers and the like, so he keeps getting pulled away. And then there was just some conflicts and the like. G and I worked through some names and various targets that we'd already done in the past, and just sort of brought him up to speed on where we were in those conversations. And we really have to get to the fundraising component so that we can fill that bucket. So one of the things that I'll go ahead and thank everyone now that participated in the strategic planning with Michigan Main Street. They went very, very well. I thought everybody was very creative, and we really did have some good things come out of it. We have another meeting coming up that Jay will tell you about, but that'll really finalize a lot of our focus points, our mission points, our story, if you will. And I think that's where we want to get to. After the finalization of that meeting, we need to turn that into a story. And then we need to go and sit down with all of our great stakeholders and all of our people that are committed to our downtown. So I will call another meeting after we get done with Main Street to just finalize what that looks like. And so thank you for all those that would participate in the fundraising committee. Artelicious, Dave's not here. Do you have an update, Jay, of where we're at?
I just spoke to Don briefly. I don't have an update. I'm going to talk to Don after the meeting and get some more details.
Don, do you have anything?
Yeah, I talked to David about 10 days ago, I think. The $6,000 idea for the traffic ban was off the table at that point, which I thought was good. You had a band of some sort, a rock band, try to red a little bit about this. Just for 2,000 to 2,500, that's where he was at that point. So I don't have anything else. What we're trying to get finalized is not to get our application for street closure before you raise the rent.
You should have seen Don's eyes when you said that. He freaked out. I was looking right at him.
I've heard a couple of people say over the last few months that you can't turn in your request a week before. We always try to have it at least a month early. I'd like to get it in a couple months early, and the layout is important to that. So we're still going to have a stage event, a beer tent. I think we know what we're going to do. So over the next week, hopefully we'll get that finalized. So we'll be happy to pay any additional fees you come up with after. But I don't know about that.
So, yeah, there's a discussion going on about that or versus local bands and the like. So that conversation will continue, but it is of the utmost urgency all of a sudden, because that'll be on us in no time. Artelicious will be. And so trying to get that locked in and have the bands locked in. I wish Dave was here to give us a little update, but it's almost something we need to start acting upon prior to the next meeting even. So, if you will. So I'm going to have Jay and I, and we'll talk with Dave and you and see if we can't figure something out. All right. 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 That's right. Thank you. All right. Anything new on Gene Christopher, Mark?
A little background for the committee. So we have approached the land bank, which owns the Gene Christopher properties over the past year, several different times to inquire. They have and control the property, and we have expressed an interest in securing that property. We have completed our outline of a design that would look something like a beer garden. We're in the process of getting a capital budget for that project. I talked to Kirk Valentine, who's doing that, and he'll have it Friday. I think it's important for this board then to consider a discussion perhaps at the next meeting as to, are we serious about having the property our responsibility as opposed to having it be somebody else's responsibility into the future. And so what that would look like would be that some entity would offer to purchase that property from the land bank with the plan to develop the property at some future point with the pricing and the layouts that we've provided. I think for this board, the decision would be two-phase. Phase one being make the purchase, phase two being the longer term development of the property. So I think at some point we'll have all the information we're ever going to have about whether we as a Main Street board or some other entity similar would want to have control over the future use of that property or not. So I'd ask everybody to think about that. We'll come up with some pluses and minuses, but at some point we've done all the due diligence we can do on it, and bringing the information to this board, it would be appropriate for this board to make some decision as to how they want to proceed with that. So I'd like to have time on the agenda next meeting to get into the weeds on the discussion of that. We'll have all the numbers and have that circulated. Right, Jay? Say yes. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then when I think about it, it's, there's DDAs that have gone into the business of taking over a property and getting it prepped for, private sector, getting it ready, white boxing it in. I'm like, this particular piece of property has fairly low risk as it goes to investment. It's just about mowing it. But it really comes to the question, do we want to involve ourselves in making sure that either one, we make a place out of it, maker's place, whatever, and space, and or we want to turn it over to control who develops that piece of property. So just thoughts before we get to our next meeting. All right. All right, downtown street lamps, what's happening? Look at that dish.
About 1 or 2 days too early. Our update meeting with JCI is either tomorrow or Friday. We're in the process of scheduling it. My understanding is the parts are all in, so now it's about getting the contractor out there, but we'll know more next time, I guess.
Excellent.
I'll stay up here for trees while you're at it. We got our order in for fall. We weren't able to get the cultivars we wanted for spring, as you know, but Jason tells me he's got an order in for fall.
Excellent. Finally have our maple trees complete. And then you have some ideas on canopy lighting?
I know Kevin's extremely busy. He's in Australia right now, so makes it a little difficult for him to participate. I've reached out to a couple of my contacts in the electrical world to find some suppliers for canopy lights to see what that looks like, so we can at least look at suppliers and get some ideas of what that might look like in downtown Adrian. So when I get that information, I'll gladly share it.
Is there any other update on the banner poles on the sides of town?
Not yet. We're working on it.
As you may notice, there's been a couple changes since we last talked, but rest assured, we're strong as ever and charging ahead full speed ahead. Lots of projects on the table. Again, the river project, working on that with the city. Glad that that's going forward and going forward very, very well. The thing we talked about last time I was here was the square one competition. So we opened up the registrations July 1st. We've got 4 applicants so far, a couple of our Launch Lenawee folks. So that's fabulous. Like I say, any questions for me, but none of the projects slowed down or stopped. So we're going forward full speed ahead.
Questions for Tim?
What's the date of that?
October 18th at the Armory.
What's the time on that?
Yeah. Networking is 5, competition is like this. 6 o'clock. Same parameters, 5 minutes. The contestants get 5 minutes to pitch, judges get 5 minutes to ask some questions, and then we move on.
For those of you who didn't make it last time, it was a lot of fun. It was a great time. People enjoyed themselves. And this really is an opportunity for small business people in the county, but let's focus on the Adrian and the downtown area. You know somebody that doesn't know about this event, so please take it to them, have them get with Tim and apply. And, you know, there's somebody at the table here, Mark's Trading Company, who never thought they would win, and they won the competition, and look what's happened in the 5 years through their hard work. So that'll happen again if we help get the word out and invite people to be involved. Thank you.
Tim, what's the application deadline?
September, I mean, we got to wait.
Okay. 9th, thank you. Way to go, Michael.
The last one was at the Pratt Brewery, and we had probably 125 people in the audience. So you throw some adult beverages and nice, you know.
I think 50 of them were for us, but.
But it was a great time. It was to celebrate entrepreneurship. It was a fabulous time.
And if you need judges, I will, in my official capacity here, I'd be happy to represent Main Street and the DDA as a judge.
I think as a former winner, you're automatically.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. Are there any other DDA matters that we need to bring before this board today? If not, I'll move to public comment.
Good morning, Mary Roberts, 563 Stockford Drive. I have a couple of comments that all relate to each other. Right now, my daughter and a friend of mine are planning the summer pub crawl for August 27th. Trying to think about if we're going to do a theme or, you know, get something if you stop at each place that we do contract with. Not sure if that's going to happen, but that relates to a lot of what has been talked about today is there are so many events that are happening. And if you don't come to these meetings or read the paper or on this particular Facebook page, we don't know about them. And we don't know that they're coming up, and events get planned on top of each other. So I would love to see, and I would like to help and partner with either as a private citizen or as a city commissioner to do a real City of Adrian events calendar. And I just looked at our City of Adrian calendar, and it's just city events, which is okay, but that doesn't include things like the Blue Jean Ball that I know is coming up in September, or this, yeah, that's coming up in October. And so it would be great if we had one place where everyone from Adrian, especially downtown people and businesses, could put stuff on and say, oh, that's happening. And it would also help that things don't get scheduled on top of each other. So the Kiwanis Trail cleanup that morning, okay, that would be great, but then come to the pub crawl that night, you know, those kinds of things. So if there's just one place where we can find out what's happening, where everything is happening in Adrian, whether it's a Kiwanis meeting or it's a county commission meeting, that, by the way, is happening tonight at 6 o'clock. Show up if you can. So all of those kinds of things would be wonderful. I honestly don't know. It's something that actually it's my daughter Carolyn's idea since she's moved downtown. She's like, Mom, I don't know anything that's going on. And, you know, I really like a calendar. They go to websites, they try and find events that are coming up on calendars. So I don't know if that's something the city should take over, if this board, if Jay takes over, or, you know, I don't know. I'm throwing it out there as a discussion that it's a want. So it's a, newspapers are no longer. Encompassing everything and looking out months, a year in advance, you know, so that you're, you know, we know when the great big night probably is for next year already. I mean, so it's those kinds of things that if we can get it all on a calendar, we can work better together. And it's not that hard. Yeah, it's a community document. Yeah.
I nominate Matt.
Well, I would be willing to help in any way. So I don't like proposing ideas if I'm not willing to help. So if there's anything I can do to have this move forward, I'm putting my name out there. Okay. And this includes meetings, board meetings, events, private event, you know, whatever, street closures, whatever, you know, so that people know what's going on.
Excellent.
Yes, just a heads up, that's the Habitat for Humanity dinner that night. And it's Society's Pride event downtown that day too. You're right. And you're right. And I think some of it is, I do feel that some people are just very protective of their events. And so they don't go to the right people to get it. I don't know. It's been this like fight for like certain nights. And so then they don't want it out there because then they don't want somebody competing against that. I don't know. It's very strange because you would think they would want it out. But I've noticed that before, that a lot of events will hit on the same night and they're like, well, I didn't want them to know, or I didn't want this, you know, so we do need to have a master calendar. It's so true. And we just got to get these organizations, a lot of it is these organizations need to all find a place, a hub where they can communicate what they're doing so that it is all out there.
Would like to liken it to a church bulletin. We're not competing for space. It's just a public notice forum. And so if we're just trying to give out information, we're not squaring it off or claiming it. We're just giving you information. And if Greater Lenawee, or if somebody's, it's a cost factor when we're trying to get the information out. But if we could tag it to some funding information, it will fly. But it's an excellent idea, and it is a necessary factor for the community. I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think, you know, we've talked about this idea for years and been to so many fundraisers, I can't even count. So it's been a topic of ours for a long time. The problem is the administrative nature of it and the changing and evolving event calendar as it moves forward. It's almost an everyday work. You know, it's almost an everyday activity for someone that would participate in that. And how do you keep track of all the executive directors and the like, and when they're working on their committees? And, yeah, right. So yeah, there's a central location. I see that when we ask Visit Runaway and maybe even the chamber, they're like, put your events on here. And so then that goes on the onus of that person to do it, to go actually stop and go fill that out on behalf of that other organization that should maybe be reaching out. I don't know. But I do believe, and Jay probably comment this, as we move into the software and all the things that we're doing, we're going to be very in tune to all the events that's going on in our downtown and our DDA district, especially. But then it automatically relates to anything that happens outside of that as well. A lot of the stuff that comes through Michelle's desk, it gives her that information rather quickly at times when it relates to down to the city and where they're landing, where they're doing their events. Boys and Girls Clubs are doing theirs on Planeway, by the way, if everybody doesn't know that, that's going to be cool. But you know, it is something I would love to help with as well. I think we just probably need to see how do we gather that information on a consistent basis. That's the hard thing. Everything's moving. Jerry.
I would just suggest that this is a problem probably in every community across this country, and there are probably solutions that have worked really well. So probably just, I
Mhm. We'll have that on, we'll have that on the agenda for next meeting. So everybody dig, see if you can find it. for me. Awesome. Awesome. See, there you go, Mary.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Next time you see Carolyn, congrats. I finally did something for you.
Excellent. Other public comment? You don't want to rip me for anything, Don? Okay, good. We'll move forward. I have no other chair comments. Again, I really appreciate the work that was done at Main Street. I want us all, what's the next meeting? Is the 20th, July 20th at 9 a.m. here in the chambers. That's next week, I guess. So if everybody could come, it is the point in time where they really give us some deliverables and we finalize and fine tune our message to the public. So
Is there a time on that? That's
9 a.m., 9 a.m.
Till, is it till 11 or?
Till she said 90 minutes, it's probably gonna be 2 hours. Probably till 11, 90 minutes.
That really is the final stage of their first engagement of technical assistance. There's more to come, but this is the big one. This is where we finally hone in. All right. Board member comments. Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, first of all, I wanted to commend Jay and the city for all the work on the farmer's market. Mary and I have been going down there and leaving with products every time we go. It's a wonderful beginning, and I encourage the board and the community to support that. We haven't had to be in the habit of going down to the farmer's market on Saturdays in the past years. We need to be in the habit of doing that now. And if we really believe that we are leaders of this organization, then we need to show that leadership by getting down to the farmer's market, thanking the vendors for being there and buying something. So I'm challenging all of us to be sure that we're doing that, because if we can't build a strong base of our leaders doing it, why would anybody else do it? And it really needs the support now. So I encourage you to do that. October 7th, 6 to 9, Taste of Lenawee. We want to get that on the calendar, Mary. So looking forward to that. It's an Armory Feast event and hope everybody can be there for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I also have something to add to the calendar, but it just came up, finalized yesterday in a meeting with myself and our city administrator and Jim Berryman. And we have 5 delegates from our sister city in Japan, Moriyama, that are coming in 2 weeks. And the schedule kept changing on us. So we just literally nailed it down yesterday and said, this is the final schedule, correct? Because we're trying to make plans. So I did want to let you know, I don't know a time still yet, but on Monday, July 25th, it will be the afternoon sometime. There will be a reception, just welcoming them to the city. We'll just have some like desserts, like cookies or something like that. We think we're going to do it on the mezzanine level. I just would encourage you, if you'd like to come and welcome them. I will send you an email as soon as I get a time. He did not know what time they thought they'd be arriving. They're just flying in that morning, and that's about all he knew. And he didn't have a specific time yet on that Monday. I also want to let you know on Tuesday, July 26th, they're going to be visiting various, just doing like a tour of Adrian and wanting to, visit some interesting places. Jerry, I'm going to talk to you after this about the Croswell, but I know, one of the thoughts, was taking them out to Plane Wave as well, but anything that you can think of or anything that you would like to maybe see, have them, or if it's your business or whatever it may be, just let me know, because we're trying to come up with thoughts and ideas on where to take them all around Adrian. It doesn't need to be just downtown, obviously, but so that is kind of our day to really showcase Adrian, because the next day they're going to be with their host families doing different things around the county or wherever, and they're taking them on their own that day. So just, reach out to me if you have any thoughts on where you think would be great, and, to take them, or if it even is your place of business. And also want to throw this out there. that Jim sprung on us yesterday, that each delegate, they like to give them like a little goodie bag when they arrive. It's the Japanese culture is very into gift giving. If you've ever been to my office, you will know that because it's a plethora of different things from all the visits. And so but anyways, you know, they just said like little things, like maybe it's little things they can munch on or just some little nice things to make them feel welcome. If any of your businesses want to donate to anything for that goodie bag, that would be greatly appreciated. There are 5 delegates that are coming. And I took that on myself in our meeting yesterday. The big gift we're going to have the city do, but I'm going to be out there trying, because we do like a big farewell gift too, but I'm going to be trying to get those goodie bags together. So I'm coordinating that. So anything, you know, even if you just want to donate any, you know, even if it's money or something for me to go buy something or whatever it might be, would love to have your business included in that goodie bag and show that off to them as well, especially, you know, and we're going to be wining and dining them in downtown quite a bit, by the way. There is an event that is going to be pretty, it's going to be a closed event, but it's going to be our city commission and some city leaders and their host families and the delegates right before they leave the night that they're actually going to be leaving. We're going to be doing a dinner with them. So we really want to showcase and show them Adrian. They haven't been here in quite a few years because of the pandemic. And so they're very excited to be here. And the last thing along to go with that visit is we are putting together, Michelle had the great idea, because I always say she's the mastermind. Sorry, Greg got a little offended yesterday when I said that.
Said it again.
Michelle had the great idea of, we had not sent them anything for a 50th because we didn't want it to break and we knew they were coming, and their 50th was during COVID. So they really didn't end up doing anything because of that. She had the great idea for that of doing a time capsule. So we are having, and Jim thought that was a great idea for them. So we're going to have a, like an engraved box that we're having made, but like, we want to be able to put some things in there. And like, we're going to put some like newspaper clippings and things like that from 1989 when we began the Sister City program. But we would like to, you know, put some items in there that are non-perishable, obviously, but you know, anything that you may have or you could think of or anything along that line. We are putting together a little time capsule for them for their 50th that in the next, you know, 50 years from now, they can open again and look at. So 5 delegates. Yep. And they're staying with host families here. They're not staying at hotels. That's how that works. So Jim has arranged that, and they're all, I think there's 3 host families, because I do believe there's a couple that are doubling up at host families, but I can't remember exactly for sure. So, and like I said, on that Wednesday, the 27th, they're taking them out. The host families are taking them. I know one of them, they're going to Devil's Lake and going on a pontoon ride. One, they're going skeet shooting in Hillsdale. Thanks, Chip Moore. So there's different things that they are doing on that day, but that's just with their host families. So that's why Tuesdays really are a big day to really show Adrian, because they'll be there. They're hopefully going to Lansing and going to the state capitol on Thursday before they leave. That's the plan. If that falls through, we will be looking for something to do with them here. You know, we were trying to come up with some ideas yesterday, because now Jim's not sure that's going to carry through, but he's hoping that still will. But thank you.
Angie, these are adult delegates, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That'd be good. Couple of comments. First is there's a group called Town and Gown. We meet quarterly, January, April, July, and October. Our meeting is for July is tomorrow at 4 p.m. in City Hall. Mark and I had a great conversation yesterday. He has been such a wonderful chair for that group for many years. We're looking to continue our mission to enhance the relationship between the community and colleges and universities and other schools. I really appreciate the support that Mayor Heath has given to it. in addition to Mark, but I would encourage any of you, any of our community here, if you're interested in helping us to make this a more college town, that meeting is from 4 to 5 p.m. tomorrow on the second floor conference room of City Hall. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer it, but I also think it's a vital part of the connection to DDA Main Street. So just wanted to put that out there. And also congratulations, Emily Flack. I wanted to bring her up because she, again, is working with, on behalf of Visit Lenawee for our Welcome Back College Night on September 8th. So I know we have some reminders for August things, but September 8th is going to be our Welcome Back Night. We pushed it to September so that it could be for all students and faculty and staff, not just our first year students that we have at Welcome Week in August. So hope that we'll get a great turnout that night, and more details will certainly come at our next meeting.
And thank you for moving it. I thought that was a great idea. As soon as you told me that they got moved to September, I think that's excellent to include all the students.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen so many events get named in a particular meeting. Mary, you got your theme going, so.
My paper's running out.
Any other board comments today? As you can see on the agenda, I won't read them off to you. There are other events coming up on the Adrian City Band, the Adrian City Market and Market Pavilion and Saturdays. Our strategic planning again, and then the fairs parades coming through town. So we want to remember that's happening. And then the dog days, and then of course, what is that last one? That's our August 10th meeting. August 10th meeting. Jerry?
I forgot that I had a question. I had asked Michelle about the date for trick or treating in the downtown. And I know that was under discussion. I didn't know if anything, if it's up for citywide trick or treating or downtown.
I don't think there's been a decision on that.
There was a discussion for Saturday around Halloween, but I don't know that it's just preliminary right now. So I'll find out some more details.
August 6th, Friday, first Friday, it's August 5th.
5th?
Oh, that's me.
Thank you. So Chuck Jacobson was involved in it last year, trick or treat again. So see if he's still interested. Excellent. Any other matters before this board today? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't got me the ethics policy, please, ethics policy.